Number 2 in our pure training build examples belongs to the Cleric. As discussed in the Sorcerer build video, pure Clerics will choose magic ranks over a weapon skill so they can hold a rune staff. You'll need at least 8 magic ranks times your level, spread out across all spell ranks, lore ranks, and direct magic related ranks to gain proper parry and defense bonuses. You can play a Cleric as a weapon user if you want, but this video will cover an example pure build. Your personal skill choices may vary based on the type of Cleric you want to roleplay as. At level 1, we don't have the points for armor use yet, but we'll circle back to it. As a level 1 Cleric, you have the choice of getting a weapon skill up to 3 ranks, or just use spell 1700 either casted or evoked. I picked Brawling here, just because you don't need equipment really to jab, punch, kick, or grapple a giant rat, but it's all up to you. You'll be untraining it as soon as you hit level 2 anyway. This training choice is only because the level 1 Cleric spell doesn't cause damage to a creature. You could wave wands instead. It won't take long to hit level 2 anyways. Physical fitness will be at 3 ranks for health points. Down to magic skills, we have 3 ranks in arcane symbols, magic item use, and harness power. Spell aiming and mana control spiritual both get 6 ranks each. The spell aiming skill is really useful for your spells 306 and 309 down the road, but specifically aiming unlocks 1700 to be evoked at level 1, which sometimes makes it much easier to hit a level 1 creature should you skip the weapon skill entirely. Over in spell research, we have 1 rank in major spiritual, minor spiritual, and the Cleric base. It's important to unlock some kind of spell here because that gives a pure access to the 1700 spell. The last skill over in general for now is First Aid with 6 ranks. Jumping up to level 10, we found the points to get armor use up to 6 ranks. This is for double leather armor, which you'll be wearing forever as a pure with no hindrance. We deleted the weapon skills, so jumping over to combat, physical fitness will have 12 ranks for higher max HP. Down in magic skills, arcane symbols, magic item use, and harness power all get 11 ranks, while spell aiming and mana control spiritual each have 24. I recommend fully investing in spell aiming as a Cleric. It's just so useful for many core spells. Over in spell research, we have 11 ranks in major spiritual for bravery. This can't be cast until you get to level 11 anyway, but once you level up, that's going to give your 306 spell plus attack strength. You can of course pay for pure potions to drink from level 0 to level 11, but those get super expensive. Minor spiritual has 3 ranks for the powerful look, and the Cleric base will see 10 ranks for the Warding Sphere spell, which provides a defensive bonus to the Cleric and their party. Over in general, Climb, Swim, and Perception all have 10 ranks, while our First Aid is maxed at 24. I max First Aid because it's cheap, but also because you'll need it to tend to the injuries of fallen players you plan to resurrect if no healer is available. It's also extra profit over time because you skin creatures more effectively with this skill. At level 19, I always set my stats for growth to save money down the road, so these examples follow that mindset. Alright, so Clerics at 19 can be tuned many different ways. Once you hit 20, you can't instant migrate your skills, so pick the ones that will fit your playstyle at 19, and then as you play further, you'll get more points to spend on the things you couldn't quite afford yet. Clerics may find themselves in a situation at level 51 exactly, where they might consider using a fixed skill to massively change their entire template to gain the exact lore ranks needed to make full chrisms. It comes down to personal preference for some things on how you play Gemstone and what you want to get out of it. Our armor use skill remains at 6 ranks. There's no need to train this any further. Physical fitness is maxed at 21 for those health points. I would recommend training this to 25 ranks or so, and then circle back to eventually get it maxed out down the road. The points were so tight that I had to make some sacrifices here. For magic skills, we continue the pattern with 21 ranks in arcane symbols, MIU, and harness power. Spell aiming is maxed at 42 ranks, and I reduced my mana control spiritual temporarily to what we had back at level 10. This skill is very important for a cleric in other areas of your profession and spell effects, so come back to this when you can and continue your training. For spells, we have 15 ranks in Major Spiritual. This gives you access to the 215 Heroism spell, which adds more attack strength to your 306 and a few other things too. Minor Spiritual has 16 ranks. I chose this due to having the ability to locate someone, especially if you're trying to recover characters who have died in battle. The Cleric base is holding at 18. I would like to get this up to 19 ranks for the extra defensive spell, I just didn't have the points. Climbing, swimming, and perception all sit at 15 ranks. These are a personal preference depending on what hunting zones you try to adventure in, but ultimately, the 15 to 25 range is a good place to be in the earlier levels. I had to sacrifice all first aid ranks to make the spells happen, but I will add this back in over time as I can. In my opinion, clerics are better as pures. However, I know many solid players who take up weapon and shields instead. They do a hybrid style with swinging and casting. There's other pure builds too without spell aiming, where you just go full mana and casting strength. Combo that with spell 240 and it's an instant win button if you have the resources to power it. That's another reason why I like my clerics to be in Vuln, for the symbol of mana to grind zones out for loot or experience in just a few short minutes. Time is money, friend. This video is more a training build example guide, but clerics are interesting in the fact that you can align yourself, which directly changes the mechanical nature of some of your spells. Following one side makes your spells hit undead more effectively, while following a different path will cause your spells to favor damaging the living. That'll be something we can dive into in a future content piece. Only 2 training build examples remaining in this intro series, one for wizards and one for empaths.